Hi, everyone. It's Alan Thornton, President and CEO of St. John's Community Services, back for another episode of Advocates for All. Today is really exciting because I'm joined by a couple of people from Voiceitt. Voiceitt is an amazing technology that St. John's has started using with people we support. And I'm not going to give away what it does yet. I'm going to have our guests do that. First, I want to welcome Sarah Smalley from Voiceitt. She's a co-founder and she's head of partnerships for Voiceitt. And then also Orly is also here from Voiceitt, and Orly is a customer success manager. Welcome and thank you so much for taking the time today to join us.
Thank you so much, Alan.
And so Voiceitt is really amazing. Precious Myers-Brown, our Chief Innovation Officer, has been talking about Voiceitt for a number of weeks as we've been in partnering with you. And we've got a person we support, Donald, who's new to the technology and learning how to use it. But for people that may be unfamiliar, could you take a moment just to describe what is Voiceitt? What does it do? How does it work? And we'll kind of go from there.
So again, first of all, we're so thankful for the collaboration with you guys and so excited to be able to talk about our story together. So what's Voiceitt? We are a Israel-based startup company. We have a growing presence here in the US as well. So I'm taking this call from South Florida and Orly as well. We're in the Southeast generally. And we have taken the challenge of making voice-based technologies accessible for everyone. And Voiceitt really started from a very personal story and still has a real personal resonance, certainly for each of us on our founding team and on our core team. In my case, it was my grandmother diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at age 40. So an early onset. And so by the time that I was born, she had lost most of her motor capabilities, and most of all, her speech was highly unintelligible. And of course, even as a young child, I could feel her frustration when it was so difficult for her to communicate even basic human needs like I'm thirsty or it's cold. And of course, ultimately, that also affected my relationship or ability to build a relationship or really get to know my mother's mother, even toward all the way to the end of her life, really. In the case of our founder, my co-founder, Danny, our CEO, it was his family member with a stroke. So kind of the opposite situation where someone who is extremely close to and someone whom he describes as the bedrock of his family structure, that suddenly, because of the stroke, lost her ability to communicate and be understood by the people around her. So the kind of personal stories were our inspiration to develop Voiceitt and to also leverage this time in human history where I think it's fair to say there's no better time in human history to be involved in speech recognition, where voice technologies are increasingly mainstream in the way that we interact with our technologies and with others. And what we realize is that similar to the way a human caregiver can learn to understand another person's speech, or someone who's intimate with the other person to get to know the way that they speak and understand them, a machine can do the same, right? As if it gathers enough data about the person's or from the person's speech patterns, it can learn the person's speech. And what we've committed ourselves to do is to apply the most cutting edge of AI and machine learning to enable people with atypical speech correlated with a multitude of underlying medical conditions and disorders to speak and be understood by voice.
It really is remarkable because I had a chance to witness, we did a video about Donald's story that we'll release in the near future, and Orly was there, and Donald has the app and has been working with Carl, who supports him in trying to learn how to use the app. And if I understand it correctly, essentially it learns Donald's pattern of speech and applies it to different phrases. So it may prompt him to say certain phrases. He'll repeat them. It learns how he says it. And so then when he wants to communicate something, Voiceitt can actually do it on his behalf. Do I have that basically correct?
Yeah, so Voiceitt will learn each of the phrases that someone wants to use. So for Donald, Donald really likes diet soda. So he trained the phrase Diet Coke, and he taught Voiceitt how he says Diet Coke. And now whenever he wants to order a Diet Coke, he can say that phrase, and Voiceitt will recognize what he's trying to say and repeat it back in standard speech, and also show the text on the screen so someone can read it as well.
That's amazing. How does that work even? Like, what's the kind of technology behind that that allows that to happen?
So the core of our product is our speech recognition technology. So technically, it's called automatic speech recognition. And essentially, the way that it works is the system will learn the person's unique way of speaking. And the way that it does that is using our application to prompt the user to repeat a series of words or phrases a few times, and it will vary between each, among each person. But when it learns the person's way of speaking, then it can the person can go right ahead and use it to speak and be understood by other people. It's really very personalized, so it's creating a kind of speech model, and the more the person uses it, the more accurate it gets. So although the person can go out and use it kind of right away, what's happening behind the scenes is that the machine learning will continue to gather this voice data of that particular person, and then get more accurate and robust.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it ties back into the stories that you shared, Sarah, at the beginning about kind of where this came from. Like the inspiration was very personal for you and your co-founder, and seeing the challenges and struggles that your loved ones had in trying to make themselves known. Precious talks about our use of technology. Typically, I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about technology today, they're thinking about making things easier, more convenient, more efficient, right? And really what she drives home for us is that it's really about leveling the playing field. It's really about equality. It's about independence. It's giving people, it's empowering people and giving them their voice in this situation, and allowing them to be heard the way they want to be heard. And I think that is just so profound. When you have individuals that may have not been able to communicate the way they really want to, or be understood the way they really want to for so long, all of a sudden to have that moment where they're clearly understood, and it's their wishes, it's what they are trying to communicate. It's incredibly powerful, and it's amazing to watch. I mean, it's an incredible product for sure. I'm just curious, what kind of awards, recognitions have you received? What stage of deployment is Voiceitt in right now? Kind of where are you at with the whole project?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a journey. Company has been around for a while. We're building a deep technology. So this is a kind of sophisticated sort of deep learning that, even as we'll all know, or anyone with a slight accent is going to know or be familiar with, even mainstream, speech recognition, and all the major companies are in speech recognition. Even for mainstream consumers, it's not a perfect system yet. So we took on kind of this challenge, and so while we're kind of at this intersection of building this kind of complex technology, and on the other hand, supporting a a population that some would consider kind of a niche market, and a social impact enterprise, all of those together means that there's particular challenges as an impact-oriented startup. And so we kind of took a very creative approach towards supporting our development. And one of that is, of course, through a creative fundraising strategy, and that we creatively combine government grants, corporate cash prize competitions, and traditional investment. And one of those, what that means is that we have now investors that include Microsoft's venture fund called M12, Amazon's venture fund called Amazon, the Alexa Fund, AARP are our equity investors, among others. We've also been lucky and to get funding as well. We're eligible as an Israeli-based company to be awarded European Commission funding, which has helped to expand in various languages and validate those languages as well. But I think what I love to really emphasize is that we really see our development process. We have a strong team of researchers and speech recognition, signal processing experts. But at the end of the day, each step of our development roadmap has mostly been defined by the interactions and the input that we receive from the community. And when I mean community, of course, that includes the end users and the amazing feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right, from participants in our beta programs, such as Donald and others through St. John's and our other partners, but also multiple stakeholders, our partners that include clinical and therapy professionals and caregivers, family members, researchers around the world, guiding us really in making sure that we're not just building, another cool AI technology, but a product that directly addresses the unique needs of our users. And I think that has really defined how we approach the development of the technology and the product, and where, and the road ahead for us.
Yeah, that's you can see it again. You can see the intentionality behind the application. Again, when I watched Donald using it, and I've had a chance both to watch him on video with Carl, and then to watch him in person, and it's really cool the level of intentionality that you've built into it. That really, if it doesn't work for Donald, then it's not going to work. I mean, that's almost the attitude it seems like is coming across. Like, you want this to be a perfect interface for the individuals whose lives are ultimately going to be impacted and changed because of it. And it's really a cool thing to see.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. It's really great to hear you say that, and to get that feedback from Donald and the others. One of our goals, and this is particularly something we've really focused on throughout the testing that we implemented throughout the pandemic. So even all of 2020, we just kind of kept going no matter what. And what we've learned, what we really tried to implement is ensuring that the product itself is going to be accessible for people with a wide range of abilities. And what that means, that means that while our focus is clearly the speech recognition element, so people with atypical speech, of course, many times the speech is accompanied by other kinds of situations, so mobility impairments or dexterity challenges, cognitively compromised sometimes, and all of those kind of other things. And as we build features and functionalities into the app and our other products, we really are trying to be intentional, as you said, about keeping that in mind so that ultimately the user can access and use our products really independently. And I think that word for us and that concept of that independence and connection is, I think, what we've seen to sometimes really make that real transformation, hopefully, for the person and for the people who care about them.
Well, I mean, we're excited about it and excited to see how it'll impact not just Donald, but other people that we support. I'm curious because I don't know if I fully know the backstory. How did we all get connected? How did you get connected to St. John's Community Services? How did you get connected to Donald? Kind of what's that story?
Yeah, we initially got connected to St. John's in Tennessee we've been working with Tennessee's Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities for over a year now. And they have a program where they'll send referrals to us through them. And so we initially got connected with Ryan in Tennessee, and he had some great people in mind, and then asked, oh, can I also send some people from our location in DC? And we were like, yeah, like if someone needs Voiceitt, we obviously want to get it to them. So that's how we got connected initially. And Donald specifically came through a referral from Carl, I believe.
And Orly, what's it like for you? I mean, if I judge by your title correctly as a customer success manager, it sounds like you're probably working very closely with both the organization that's trying to kind of utilize the technology and then the specific individuals that are ultimately the end user. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So what's that like for you to kind of see this technology in action up close, in some scenarios, maybe for the first time for people to have access to this kind of application?
Yeah, that's the best part of my job, is getting to build that relationship with the individuals who are actually using the app, getting their feedback and making sure that it's incorporated in a way that they'll be able to use the app. I don't know how to explain the first time you see someone be understood by Voiceitt. It's just like, that's basically what we're doing at Voiceitt, is working towards that moment where people can speak. And even though people around them don't understand them, Voiceitt will understand them and assist them in communicating. And their reactions are just so priceless and so amazing to be a part of. And I'm really grateful to have been there to see Donald's reactions to Voiceitt, as well as many others. That's definitely my favorite part of my job, is getting to see that moment for them.
Yeah, and I imagine you're gonna get to see it a lot more into the future, just as you continue to roll out, as more people learn about Voiceitt and get access to it. Out of curiosity, for people that might be watching, again, maybe this is their first time hearing about Voiceitt, how do they learn more? How do they get to access the technology, or learn how to access the technology either for themselves or their loved ones?
Yeah, well, they can go to our website, voiceitt.com, with 2 T's, VOICEITT. And there's a lot of good information there about what Voiceitt is and what you can do with it and how it works, and also how to get access to it.
And you also see there that you all won an innovation award with CES. So congratulations on that. That is certainly no small feat at all. That is an amazing achievement and well-earned recognition. Sarah, I'm curious. So you talked about, where Voiceitt came from, and you kind of talked about where it is right now and kind of the learning and the research and the application that's happening. What are your hopes for Voiceitt for the future? Where do you see it evolving into? Are there other additional features or products that you're hoping to bring to market or add to Voiceitt itself? What are your thoughts on, if you could wave that magic wand, 5 years from now, kind of what would you hope that you'd be celebrating?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the greatest lessons, the learnings from our ongoing beta programs, is that our first product that's empowering and transformative by facilitating in-person communication is really impactful. We realize we can do a lot more, and in this kind of new world of voice activated smart homes, smart cars, smart speakers, and so many other things, Voiceitt provides a unique value proposition to essentially any company involved in voice. And of course, that's not anymore just limited to the smart speaker. It's essentially every electronic. More and more actually just got a vacuum cleaner, and it's all active. It's like everything you can. I'm not even sure what you really do with that, but more and more, so many things by voice. And what that Voiceitt can make those products accessible to people who actually need it the most, who may struggle to get up on their own and turn on and off a light or adjust the thermostat or play their favorite song. And so voice can really, provide a new dimension of independence. And so I think our path forward has been kind of marked in a sort by one of our milestone moments in 2020. On December 3rd, 2020, on International Persons of Disabilities Day, we announced our integration with Alexa. And and she's waking up, Alexa, this Alexa Voiceitt integration means that Voiceitt users can essentially, through Voiceitt, do anything that a mainstream Alexa user can do. We're also building a version of the technology, so it's called an SDK, that enables Voiceitt's technology to be easily integrated into existing devices, software, platforms, and technologies. So our vision ultimately is essentially Voiceitt Inside, where you can experience Voiceitt technology, not necessarily as like a separate, what we call in the field assistive technology, right? Or AAC, which is assistive communication, but actually as just a mainstream product where Voiceitt technology is just integrated inside and enabling everyone, regardless of their specific needs or different abilities, to access the benefits of cutting edge technologies that are that mainstream consumers have access to. And so that's really our vision, making speech recognition truly accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the ripples of that are really endless, right? I mean, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Started out saying, I mean, the applications just keep going and going, and that really opening up the world for people where it may otherwise be closed, frankly, or limited significantly if they didn't have access to Voiceitt. March is here in the States, National Developmental Disability Awareness Month. I can't think of a better way to bring awareness to people with developmental disabilities and the people trying to support individuals with developmental disabilities like yourselves than to highlight Voiceitt through this interview. So I really appreciate you coming on today. And before I let you go, just because I've been asking everyone this kind of question throughout the pandemic, self-care has been a big topic for us through the course of a very stressful time, a very interesting time, a very different and challenging time. I'm just curious, how have the two of you managed to kind of keep yourself going strong during this time? And what kind of advice might you have for people that are watching today?
Orly, should I let you go first?
Okay, I can go first.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, I have been doing a lot of different things. In the house, I've been doing a lot of crafting. I learned to crochet. I've also been painting. Outside the house, I do a lot of hikes with my dog, which have been really nice just to, get out in the fresh air and be in nature.
Awesome. Very good. How about you, Sarah?
I think I've actually been thankful for the pandemic because it really gave me a chance to refocus on my relationships that so easily taken for granted. And now that it's so I just make sure to kind of dedicate time for making our virtual relationships as concrete and meaningful, and also kind of dedicating time to it that is not always like an easy thing. Got my parents to learn how to use Zoom, so it's all worth it.
That's awesome. No, that level of intentionality that we all need right now for the things that matter most in our lives.
Yeah.
Whether that's people in our loved ones, whether that's ourselves. I mean, it just the pandemic has driven that home, I think, in a lot of different ways. So, well, I want to thank you again. I thank you for this life transformational application that you all have created and are rolling out at St. John's Community Services. We are absolutely thrilled to be partnering with you. Really excited about what it means for the people we support and what it means for people that whose lives are going to change because of it. So, and thank you for taking the time today. Great to talk with you both. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
It's
Really
been really
appreciate it.
wonderful partnering with all of you as well. I think that our pilots at St. John's have been really successful because of all the work that you put in and how much you all support your clients.
No, thank you. We are big fans of the people that we support for sure. We have a passion for them to live their very best life, and Voiceitt is one of the keys to helping them do that. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alan.